Alucard's podcast. Listen in.
Alucard's fantasy podcast.
Awesome, man. So yeah, it's great to be back with you, dude. It just feels like it's been a couple of weeks and it's like, damn, we've been missing out on that podcast.
Yeah, other sides of the planet now and like all over the place.
Yeah.
I have been missing it too.
You know, since I'm live from Tokyo, I thought we should do this episode on anime, and which I would say is a subgenre of fantasy. And it'd be cool to start off with basically, I'll tell you a little story about how anime kind of saved my life. You know, a lot of my friends got into dealing drugs. A lot of our parents are all drug dealers as well. So it's not just my friends getting in. It was like actually all the parents involved were also drug dealers. So in this area that I grew up in. So there was like a lot of violence in the household and stuff like that. And just crazy times, you know. And it's obviously worse. You know, my mum did a really good job to keep us overall pretty protected and safe, but there's definitely some crazy moments that she would agree with too. And I'm saying it like that because I know she's going to listen to this because she loves our podcast, by the way. But yeah, she did a good job, but there was definitely times that I'm sure she wouldn't have wanted to go through, and that we also went through with her, you know. That was pretty crazy because it just the areas we were living in and just the connections and stuff, some pretty crazy stuff happened. But yeah, I remember, you know, a lot of people were turning, and there's other stresses, you know, like I said, we've touched on self-help a couple of times, you know, and everyone has their own battles and demons that they've had to go through. And for me, I definitely had, whether it was because of what happened to me or different things as a kid, like, as I said, we had a home invasion, you know, when I was 4 years old with guys with sawn-off shotgun to my mom's head and machetes and stuff like that in the house. And definitely things like that make you have like little panics, you know, like sometimes I had trouble sleeping. Probably that might be why I had trouble sleeping for a while, you know what I mean, for many years. But for whatever reason, whichever thing it was, I definitely had like periods in my early teens where I was like, you know, feeling depressed or anxious, you know, like panic attacks and stuff like that. And I did actually end up curing all that stuff with self-help books and you know, some really good stuff and working on myself. But at that time, I didn't know those books yet, you know, and I didn't have access to that. A lot of people turned to drugs, dealing drugs and stuff like that. And I actually had anime instead. And it's like a weird thing how much an anime story can mean to a kid, you know, if they're going through a tough time and life's rough and you fall in love with the characters. You know, I think some of the ones that come to mind that I watched when I was early teens going through a really rough time was like Naruto, definitely. Mushishi was a really good one. And for some reason, like Rurouni Kenshin, Samurai X, just so good. And probably other ones as well. But I was watching all these things and I just live, I would just kind of live as if like I was in the world with the characters, you know. Instead of turning to drugs, I had that and it got me through, you know. And it's just crazy how much that can like kind of, it's tough for teenagers, you know. Sometimes they don't know where to go, but the little stories and fantasy things can get them through, basically. I think that's how I'd say it in short.
Wow. How old were you when you first encountered anime? First started watching, like, I guess, a serial anime?
You know, it's funny because I think when I really started watching anime, it was crazy movies. Like those crazy, like, adult anime movies like that I probably shouldn't have been watching at that age. And then I moved into the series from those. So I actually got in with those, like, crazy 80s anime movies, like... literally one of the first ones I watched was Samurai X. Have you seen those?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, dude, those are really good.
Oh man, yeah. My father-in-law loves Rurouni Kenshin. He is a big fan. Yeah, it's funny because I'm really interested in your experience because I only got into anime later. Like I saw the movies, I saw Studio Ghibli, of course, you know, and then like I only really started to get interested in it and the way that anime delivers stories and narratives later in life. I never really got to depend on it and be fascinated by it as a young kid. And so, yeah, that's incredibly interesting to me. Would you watch it on, like, live TV, like channels, or would you...
Yeah, I would actually go, like, sometimes you have these crazy late night shows, you know, and you'd be like some anime come on, but I would actually go to the video store and and I'd select these things. And where I grew up was like really kind of like a ratchet town, you know, like crazy town, and they just kind of didn't really police, like there was these crazy little video stores in the back of like a food store, and like they didn't really police what I was getting at all. So I would get like these R-rated anime movies. I'd rent them out when I was like 9-10 years old, like Ninja Scroll. Like, have you seen Ninja Scroll?
But Missouri has stores like that too, where you can just nobody cares. There's like all kinds of shit there that you can get. It's awful.
Yeah, but it was good too, you know, like there's definitely some I shouldn't have watched, but Ninja Scroll, it was like amazing. That was one of my favorite ones, but there's definitely a bunch of sex scenes, and the blood and gore in it is insane. Maybe not compared to nowadays.
The classic 80s nut. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was epic though. It was like demons ripping samurai's arms off and drinking the blood from them whilst, you know, watching some chick and stuff like that, and just crazy weird creatures.
No, they were crazy. Yeah,
like this one dude was literally like, this one evil samurai demon dude was like, had like a wasp's nest in his back. It's like a hunchback with like this disgusting like nest as part of his skin in his back. And he would send the wasps after them, you know, and the only way they got away from him was hiding in this river underwater from the wasps. And then the main guy basically cut upwards, like did this super quick slash that slashed the guy's, like the branch off that he was standing on, and slit one of his legs off, and he fell into the water, and all the wasps basically attacked him from inside his skin trying to escape underwater, and killed him. That was like one of the deaths of one of the demons. It was like some crazy shit, that show.
Oh, holy shit, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I might have to check that out just as you know, throwback kind of anime.
yeah, but those ones is what got me into it, but they weren't the ones that would cheer you up.
Right.
Yeah, those were just hardcore.
Sort of the weekly repetition of like, you know, okay, at this time I'm gonna have a new episode coming out of Naruto. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna watch that. Or were you backtracking? I guess I'm trying to place the time.
So I think there was a bunch of Naruto released, and I was in my mid-teens or early teens. So I already liked anime from like Samurai X, Ninja Scroll, Spriggan, like Akira, like all those movies were just the bomb. And then, you know, now I'm watching anime, and then I get into Naruto, and I would say like Naruto is like, the thing I like about anime is like you know what really freaking got me through as well was like Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh yes.
Dude, like, and then some parts are really sad too, but it's like, you just fall in love with what I like about anime is you fall in love with these characters, and it's like they become your friends. If you're going through a tough time as a teenage kid, it's like, I basically think I was just online streaming, or even my friends would like all these downloaded episodes of like all these different animes. Like I had these older friends, and like I would just copy paste them off their computers onto my computer and just watch.
Man, that's cool.
Naruto, freaking Full Metal Alchemist, Full Metal Panic. I don't know, that one's not very well known, but Full Metal Panic.
I don't know if I know about that one.
Yeah, it's that one definitely got me through some tough times. It's so funny. It's like a full comedy anime, and it's like basically this super soldier kid is basically set to he has to babysit this girl in high school who's like a really important target, but it's so undercover that he has to pretend to be a high school student, and he's like 18. And so he'll do stuff like, he's like never been in normal school situations, and he's like fully trained super soldier killer, and he's now trying, and he's really good at all that stuff, but he's terrible at being a normal kid at school, and he's like 19 or something, and he'll do one
down. That's good.
Oh yeah, Full Metal Panic, and it's full of like the really peak, you know, like anime comedy like stuff, and he basically would like, stuff will happen where he'll be suspicious, and he'll like just randomly do like a full combat dive roll, tackle the girl, and roll like with her like out like into the girl's bathroom or something, and then she'll be like, "What the hell are you doing, you creep?" You know, and he's like like he thought like someone was trying to shoot at her or something, you know, and it was nothing, like someone had just slammed a locker shut or something.
That sounds classic. I gotta check that out.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then, you know, like Full Metal Alchemist, like,
Oh,
man, it's just so good. Like,
yeah, hard
Louis
to describe.
Armstrong. Yeah, Louis Armstrong is so funny.
Yeah.
Armstrong,
Man,
you know, so good. And
Yes.
that stuff that just gets, like, for kids, that stuff gets you through these tough times, you know. And
Oh yeah.
that and games, funnily enough, games like Morrowind. You know, I remember when I was at the peak of, like, you know, I was really stirred up, something was going on, and I was feeling really bad, and I would just sit there and play Morrowind, where other people might have taken drugs.
And no, that's real, dude. That's real. Yeah, a lot of, you know, it. Yeah, I mean, you have to have something to sort of attach yourself to at that age and kind of like grow with, and you know, God forbid it's a substance, but like having something like creative, a work that you can attach yourself to, even something that's like, you know, continuing, like a long running anime, say, then it's like, you know, that's coming out. You know that you get to watch that and follow with these characters. You get to grow up with these characters. Same for books releasing, I guess. But yeah, and then of course, like you said, games, completely enveloping experience.
Yeah, something to distract you, you know. And obviously, it's better if you don't have to do that. It's better if you can just enjoy life and have a normal life or whatever, or like. And you can learn, there's other productive things you can do to improve. But if you didn't have it, you know, I didn't know it, I didn't have access to it, this was like such a great creative substitute. And I think it should be too. I think books and creations like this, anime, is a very, like, it's one type of therapy.
Yeah, definitely is.
Yeah.
And like stories,
you can bring a lot of joy to people.
Me through. Yeah, absolutely, because then you get to have all these experiences that are, you know, that you wouldn't have otherwise. That's for me growing up. Stories always played that part. I just didn't have a lot of experience, and stories and fantasy in general got me to understand the world a bit more.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Great.
Yeah, and that's you know, and I think that's cool because everyone's different. You know, everyone has their own thing. For you, that was what it was. For me, I was like so much stress in the environment that it was like I can forget about that for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, I can forget about the fighting that was occurring in the house that day or whatever, or the gangs of kids in the street that tried to beat me up that I had to fight free from, you know, and then I know they're going to be looking for me the next night. And that did happen a couple of times where I was like, but then I was also getting into MMA too, so I was able to fight them off. But it's still, like, even if you win, it's stressful knowing that, okay, they're going to be looking for me the next night with more people. Because eventually, if something goes wrong, if you don't make the right turn, you know, or whatever in the street and they corner you, it's hard to always win.
Damn.
Yeah,
that's... I can imagine. That's crazy.
You know, and you never know if they're going to
crazy.
come back with more weapons or whatever, you know, so but yeah, and there's just that pressure, constant stress in the environment. I was able to ease that off by just transporting my mind to somewhere else. Yeah, that was good. Until you can get something better, that was good.
Yep.
Self-help or whatever.
Yeah, because like when you're a kid, there's not a lot you can do, you know, besides like, you know, school, and you've got like, you know, your family duties, what little they may be, you know, and beyond that, there's nothing really you can find meaning in as a child, especially as a teen, because then that's when you're really asking yourself that question. You're like, all right, what am I doing? Who am I? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and for me, I love Japanese culture. I love the animes, and I love how they're just so quirky, and it's like, a lot of stuff in there is not possible, it's not true, but they always try to blend it. Like, they always try to be like, dude, I love how they like make up something that's like totally not real and like make it into something, and you're like, oh, I never realized that if I like it's like those anime kung fu epiphany moments. Like, I'm trying to like, there's a specific thing that they do where they're like, what's a really good example? This is a perfect example, but it's a very not a very well known anime, but it's called like Bucky, Grappler Bucky. And it's like it's actually like a fighting anime, and he's kind of like Muay Thai, kind of kickboxing, MMA kind of fighter.
Bucky, yeah.
Yeah, you've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I misheard. Yeah, no, totally know what you're talking about.
yeah. So the specific thing that I'm describing in anime culture is like he literally is going to die, right? And he's falling off a cliff. He gets thrown off a cliff by a giant man-ape creature. And he's like, endorphins, you know? And he becomes like a freaking Super Saiyan, you know what I mean? And it's like...
It's the power up, you know?
Yeah, it's like the power up, and they have some theory to it. It's total bullshit theory, but it's like, oh, endorphins, you know, and with endorphins you can suddenly like fight to the next level, you know? And it's so funny. And it's like because of the endorphins he didn't die from falling off the cliff, but they have so many of those things, like, oh, if you put your chakra into your feet, you can run up the tree, you know what I mean? Like Naruto.
Yeah.
And then if you just train, you'll get stronger. And I just...
That belief.
Yeah, and obviously it's not always realistic, but I still think it's important, and I think it's amazing because it goes straight back into the fantasy thing we were talking about, where some of these things can become possible, you know what I mean? And I did practice running up trees a lot after watching Naruto.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got pretty damn good at it.
How successful were you? Yeah,
I
bet you did. See, that's what you can kind of get a little far on.
You know, and I freaking can run up trees and do backflips off them.
Nice.
I can take like 4 or 5, 6 steps up there and do a nice big flip off. So, you know, there's a lot of realnesses, but it just anyway, it cracks me up how they have that epiphany moment of level up. Like, if I this new way to do this, it's so. Some of them are really funny though. Like, I don't know if you can think of any examples, but there was something
I was trying to, but.
Yeah,
there's like, the same kind of thing, like just having the moments of humor blended so well into all the other aspects of the story, and I feel like Western art and movies and especially writing is kind of afraid to blend the two, blend the humor and the horror and the stark reality.
Yeah,
and that was always something that, you know, because like you take like Spirited Away is kind of like just like the hands down perfect example for that, but I don't want to deviate too much, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Hands
like,
down perfect movie
it's like
in all
that
ways.
Sort of every situation. You have this beautiful setting, you've got Japan, you've got the art, it's gorgeous, and then you've got like this sort of creepy underworld of the spirit world of characters that, you know, so it's like those kind of things, that contrast is so interesting to me. But yeah,
100%.
Don't want to rabbit trail down there just yet.
Yeah, no, I think you just reminded me of something. Actually, I was gonna say, it's funny that you say that, and it's something that I love actually about anime, and I've always noticed, but I never knew why until one of my friends who'd actually studied a bit more about Asian film culture pointed out to me. Obsidian Blackbird, actually, and because we were watching these Korean movies. And I don't know if it's wrong or right, but what he said was that in Asian film culture, they basically were, you know, quite low budget, like in their formative stages. And so they would so everyone would want to, they want to get a little bit of everything basically into the one film. So that more people would enjoy it, and also so they could put it all together and not have to make multiple films. So they would literally put horror, comedy, action all together, and because of that
is so interesting.
And so I think it blended into the anime culture and stuff, may have kind of been part of that as well, but that's just an idea. You know, I haven't verified it, but
necessity is the mother of invention.
But it works so well, you know, and now it's its own culture. If that's how it developed or not, that's how it is now. And I really put that, like, I actually unconsciously or consciously, I put that into my book, The Living Light from Gods to Ashes. It really is like that. It's like a full anime book.
Yeah, when you were, like, some of the short scenes we've been able to read, you know, like, there is a lot of comedy in there, and it contrasts so well to, like, I'm sure the other parts that I haven't gotten to read yet, but, like, that is, I think, an excellent storytelling tactic. Yeah, and you'll see there's some serious horror parts in there, too. Like, it gets some of it's pretty freaky, but just enough, you know, and then back to the comedy. It's so blended. What do you tell people when they ask what genre your book is?
I'd say it's fantasy adventure, because that's what Stefan Rudnicki said it was, and I think he's got a good idea.
Whatever he says, I'm down. I'll trust that.
Yeah, and then I was looking it up I tried to kind of research it and have different people, you know, and my dad read it. He said the same thing without knowing. Stefan said that. He said it's fantasy adventure. So that's kind of what I'm going with. But before that, I was kind of going with dark fantasy, like, but more of a satire comedy area of dark fantasy, but it has a lot of adventure in it, so it's not quite dark fantasy either.
Yeah, both dark fantasy satire, that's an interesting combo you never see. And, fantasy adventure, I feel like to me, that rings more rare as well. Something that's just a straightforward adventure with some lighter moments. That's kind of a rare find. A lot of things leans dark fantasy nowadays, which is okay. I like that, too.
Yeah, it's good, yeah, and it's true. And it's more deep emotional and stuff and kind of hooks you in, which I think a lot of people do like. And I hope I don't alienate anyone when I say this about my book, is that my book is just to have fun and enjoy it, like, all the way through. Like, you're going to leave feeling happy and satisfied rather than, I guess, torn and sucked into this drama of the characters. It's more something you could just enjoy to bring yourself up. If you're feeling rough, you could probably reread chapters and enjoy them again because it's so funny. So it's more like that kind of comedy and enjoyment book that you can just it's just going to be a pleasurable ride the whole way through without necessarily something that's going to fix your attention into the traumas and the dramas in it, really. So it's a total different thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and hopefully people dig that. I've been having a great time here in Tokyo. Like, I just talk to people. Like, as I said, there's this awesome girl I met on the plane to New York, and she's really loved it. I showed her some of the samples, and she was loving it, and then she told me she wants to get a copy when it's released. By the way, I saw it on the website, Blackstone Publishing House. They've got me as coming soon on the website, the book's title. So that's great. Yeah, it says release date July. Yeah, so it's definitely ready, and we just finalized the cover art, so that should be coming out soon. July, so that's pretty exciting. But yeah, I've been in Tokyo, and and I was just I went to Pop Mart. Like, I didn't even know what it was until today, but apparently it's really popular. This crazy little figure. It's called Pop Mart, and it's really popular with like this generation or the kids and teenagers now. But there's all these little figurines from different things, and they look really cute. The big head, but this one particular is famous. Yeah, and we tried to go and buy something for my friend's son-in-law, and it was just insane. Like, there was 4 stories, and the line went all the way down the stairs for 4 stories of stairs to the counter.
Wow.
And we waited in line the whole time, and then when we got to the counter to buy the one that we wanted to get, you couldn't get it in the store. You had to buy it at the counter. They said it was sold out, and now they're only doing raffles where you have to pay for a lottery, and if you win the lottery, then you're allowed to buy it.
Whoa. Oh my goodness.
This one figurine, it was called...
what is that figurine? Yeah, we need to know.
It was called... You know what? Let me look it up really quick, because people listening probably do want to know that.
Yeah, that is crazy. So you would go through the raffle, and then you'd have to pay. So you have to buy the raffle tickets, right? That's genius.
Yeah, you got to get the raffle. Oh yeah, Labubu. Yeah, that's the one. Labubu. What? Yeah, the big Labubu. So if anyone knows that's listening, that's what we were trying to get, the big Labubu, and that thing was sold out, man. You had to raffle, even in Tokyo where it's freaking made. You can't get them in. So I was talking to these 2 girls in line that were Canadians, and they were traveling from Canada, and they were here, and there was barely any Pop Mart stores in Canada, so they came to this one in Tokyo. And anyway, but one of them, it was great. But I had a good chat with them. I just love meeting everyone. Literally, I'm chatting with all the waitresses, all the waiters, the taxi drivers, like practicing my Japanese. Some of the stories you saw in my post, but if the listeners to this haven't seen the post, check it out. But yeah, I'm just talking to everyone and wherever I go, and these girls, one of them really liked fantasy books, so she took my Substack down, and she's going to be checking it out and waiting for the release of the audiobook. And then another one, and I was buying this, my friend was buying some clothes for his daughter at this really nice, we went to this Tokyo Tower, Tokyo Plaza or something. It's like this really big mall with like these fashion designers there, Japanese fashion designers. And talking to everyone in there, and there was these girls in line, and they were from China, mainland China, and they were there buying something, and one of them wanted to read in English, and I can speak pretty good Chinese. My Chinese is a lot better than my Japanese, so I was talking to them. Yeah. So I was talking to them.
How many languages do you speak?
Just really English and I would say Chinese, and I'm basically very basic on Japanese. Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, the Chinese is useful. So, in fact, a lot of the girls here that I've been meeting are
Definitely.
Chinese. They're here touring, so it's useful, And so anyway, they really, one of them really liked, she could read English and speak pretty good English, so she loves fantasy. So yeah, she took my Substack down and is looking out for the release of the audiobook too,
That's great. You're really hitting the streets. That is awesome.
It's just so much fun. I can't help it, It's literally, I get excited. I talk to them. As soon as you say you're an author, by the way, any authors listening to this, that carries some weight, Like, it's weird. It's like when you're an author, or like you're not famous yet, or you're upcoming, or whatever. You talk to literary agents, you feel like you're a nobody or you're a piece of crap. You talk to publishing houses, you're a nobody or until, oh, sorry, your writing is good, but it's just not quite for me. They always say the same thing, basically. Until one says, like Stefan Rudnicki, I love this work, let's do it. And which is just like, you suddenly realize you don't suck when someone says that. But that's the vibe you get as this, like, you're struggling, or you're just posting stuff and you get like a couple of likes and you're just like screaming into the darkness here, online.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
When you're in the street and you're connecting directly with the common people that aren't like, I don't know what it is with these commercial guys or whatever, but you say I'm an author, they freaking get excited instantly. Like, it carries weight. So remember that when you guys are out there. It is special, whether you're famous yet or not. You'll feel special once you start talking to the common people out in the street.
That's very true.
Yeah, like
About
you say you're an author.
I started introducing myself as a writer. I'm a videographer by trade, but like what I love is writing. So instead of telling people I meet that I'm a videographer for a digital marketing agency, blah blah blah, like I started saying like I'm a writer. I write, and that has changed both my image of myself and the way I come across to new people I meet, strangers, and it's a subtle thing, but it's really powerful. And I couldn't recommend it more. And, one day I'm going to say I'm an author, too, when I have something published. So we'll upgrade sooner or later.
Hell yeah. I mean, look, we are going to do another podcast where we go through the motions of publishing your books on, self-publishing on Amazon. So, yeah,
Very
get
excited.
that done, and then you're an author. That's it, And,
Exactly, yeah.
And it's true, and it is true. Yeah, we haven't made it famous yet, but it is true, and you can show them. Like today, I showed them the Darkmoor book that I have published on Amazon as well. I can say, yeah, I got this one published on Amazon as well, and they want to know what it is straight away. They looked it up. There it is, and I can see I got a bunch of Kindle reads going up on my KDP today when I checked it. So,
Nice.
So someone I spoke to in the last 3 days is reading my book on Kindle. So they bought it on Kindle for free because I'm enrolled in the free Amazon program. And I can see someone's read 8 pages today. So one of the people I talked to...
Oh, that's wild.
It's reading
it. Gives you some granular data, really. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's a pleasant surprise when you see that. Like, yeah, you talk to people, you tell them about it. Yeah, someone's reading it on there, and it's got like a royalty that's ticking up the more pages they read. That's how it works on the Kindle.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, I guess this is more for our publishing podcast, but that's really interesting. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so... But that's it's just super cool. So once you have something up, you can do that. That's all I'm saying. So you can say, yeah. And the guy I mentioned in my thing, I met this really great guy a couple of days ago. I basically went down to Kamakura, which is literally basically where the first samurai shogunate actually was created, and where they took over Japan from the imperial age, basically, and went into the shogun age. And this guy called Minamoto was like basically this boss samurai, and it was in Kamakura, which is just a couple of hours south of Tokyo, or an hour on the train south of Tokyo. Amazing town, so many temples there, and this giant Buddha head like sitting on the forest on the mountain you can see from the distance. And because basically Kyoto was like all fancy, sophisticated, and at least this is what the historian dudes and the taxi drivers were telling us there. And basically samurais were farmers, like the soldiers of the country were also farmers. And I think I mentioned that, and I think it's important that we bring that up too, because farmers are amazing people and they provide the food for us, And they're also traditionally were the soldiers in each nation, I guess for the Germanic tribe, they were more hunters and gatherers, but they were the soldiers, and they also hunted and gathered the food. They had to provide the
Did
food
everything.
and protect the food, So then basically my friend's alarm just went off. I just had to pause that for a second. But yeah.
But that's really cool. I didn't know that before your post. And so I told my brother to make sure he listened to this podcast, because my brother is really, really fascinated by Japanese culture, and he's a historian as well, and he's going through like feudal Japan. He's always reading books about this, and so I told him to check this out because you were walking through some pretty amazing places over there in Japan right now.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's everything that you could want, really, I would say, apart from as I said, the prostitute streets. That's the only thing that ruins the image, but obviously that's a small part of it. It's very small, and as it is in every culture, and we just need to do what we can to improve things and get away from that. That's what I think, anyway.
There's always a seedy underbelly.
So anyway, it was Kamakura was amazing, and the beaches there was really nice beach, black volcanic sand, and then Mount Fuji across the bay, which was a bit hazy, so I couldn't get a good shot of it, but it was still cool to be there, and all the temples. And anyways, what I was saying is I met this guy. He was just literally sitting on the beach by himself, like this little Japanese dude, and he was just so zen. He was just like such an epic guy, and I had to go and talk to him, so I just went straight over to him, and he was just writing in his notebook, and he just told me his story. He basically lives in Tokyo, and he decided to just literally in the middle of the week, I don't know what his job schedule is, but he just took the train down for the day by himself and just literally trekked around all the temples for the whole day, and then all the way up the mountain back down into the beach. And he was just sitting there looking out across the ocean, just literally writing memos for himself, just for his own pleasure, not for anyone else.
That's amazing. What I would give for public train travel here in the U.S.
I know, it's so connected in Japan.
I would do anything.
Yeah. So he was just such a peaceful dude, and he was super interested that I was, wrote the book, and even though it was in English, he was super excited to see that it was set in Japan, and he looked up, the Darkmoor Banquet of the Fairies book, and he was pumped, and he was going to look it up to try and read it, So
that's awesome.
Yeah, super
I
cool
mean, like I was
experiences.
telling you, man, like, sometimes, like a couple times in life, I've had someone come up to me and say, hey, I wrote this book, check it out. Like that one guy I mentioned when I worked at a grocery store, and he was always selling books out there in front of the grocery store. It's like, it works. It's really cool to get handed a book that there's the author right there, and read it. And sometimes the other time that guy was cool. The other time someone gave me a book, it was not good. But this guy, this old guy writing a book of poetry, I think I have it somewhere. But it's stuff like that is really organic and meaningful to give to people. So what you're doing is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it's so easy. You just got to be able to talk to people. I mean, maybe that's not easy for everyone, but I'll tell you, if you do it, it will become easy. It wasn't easy when I first started, but now it is, and it's a joy. Now it's entertainment rather than something that's scary or hard to do. And I know this is way more into the publishing thing, but someone else, I saw someone's comment the other day on Substack, and it was like, I've been replaced by AI. Like, I think she was actually getting fired because she was more of a marketing copywriter or some kind of protocol copywriter for a company. And she was like, they can pay them AI $20 a month to do it for them. So she wasn't going to have that job anymore. And she was actually asking people like, okay, what do we actually do? And that my answer, and people were just apologizing and saying like, it sucks, nothing can be done. But my answer to her was like, I actually gave her a solution. I said, look, honestly, just go out in the street and start talking to people, get a bunch of copies of your book, and just sell your book in the street. Because the more that AI is taking over the world, there's like a whole other movement and section of people that
absolutely
want one-on-one interaction with humans, and it's like, I'm so sick of answering machines that are AI. Like, I literally hate it. Like, if I can get a company with a receptionist, it's like, literally, I would probably go there all the time if I could, if I knew that they had it,
Yeah. All of these people, like, they're turning to AI and depending on them to do tasks that they You know, they're people from the top looking at these tasks as I hate paying someone a living wage to work, or a minimum wage to work this job. I'm gonna, use a robot to, it's distressing. But like, I don't think that these people realize how real people, consumers, producers, workers, they do not enjoy connecting with AI. It's mimicry. What AI is right now is just this hollow mimicry of human creativity and function. And I absolutely agree with what you're saying. I think that there will be this alternate movement as AI, especially in publishing and music and creativity and even filmmaking, as it becomes more common for people to use this stuff, not as a tool, but as a complete generating a new thing. People will move away from that, and they'll come back to the written word and, going to the local bookstore and buying from an author. I truly believe this. I know this. I'm extremely passionate about this. I talk about it with my friends all the time, and I know we'll probably get into it more on the publishing side of things, but this is, I truly think that's where we're headed.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's a good thing. I see it as a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Butlerian jihad.
Absolutely. I'm ready. Say the word. We'll go at it with the las guns.
That's right. Yeah, no calculators allowed even, But
yeah, no way.
But yeah, but either way, as I said, it's moving ahead, and it's happening, so stay abreast of it and just keep yourself educated, learn to use it in the ways that it is useful, really.
Sure, absolutely.
But, it can't stop you. It can't stop you from, people do want interaction, so get out in the street, like what I've been talking about, and just freaking talk to people. So they love that. They love it.
You just can't get discouraged, I think that's the main thing. You cannot get defeated by what's going on in the world right now. Crazy things have always been happening, and people are always writing, and people are always reading, and so those are the constants. You've got it, and you'll be fine.
Yeah,
that's what I tell myself every morning.
Yeah, no, it will, and you can make a difference too. It does make a difference. Your decisions and what you're doing can change it. So don't give up and just do something that's positive. Like maybe if we all start going back to interacting with people will realize that. Like certain other people will realize that's the better way again, and then it'll move back in that direction or whatever.
Absolutely.
Or they'll hire people or whatever. Yeah. So back to anime land in Japan.
Back on topic.
Man, I had a full anime moment. Like I mentioned it in the post, but not everyone who is listening to this reads the post. I know that because the podcast has about 700 listens per the stats. Over 700 now, by the way. For our last ones. But I know none of my posts have 700 reads, so I know a lot of people listening to this that aren't seeing the posts. But, so for you guys, I went to this Japanese bathhouse. Now, I have like this full traditional Japanese sleeve. I don't know if I showed you this, Finn, but it's
I was going to ask you to see your tattoos today.
Yeah, I'm sorry for you guys who can't see the video, but it's pretty amazing.
Post a picture of your tattoos in your notes and have everyone go there and check it out. Yeah, because that is pretty sick.
Yeah,
I like that you did more heavy ink lines. I hate it when people do kind of like the more softer lining.
I don't like the ones that look too busy and it's all like it's all whatever mixed together. This is like just big Japanese artwork. Cohesive. Yeah, it's solid, big, broad strokes, full traditional Japanese artist. He's been doing it for 45 years.
Wow.
And it's got the Monkey King on there, Son Goku, as well as a bunch of Sakuras.
Very cool.
Yeah, and clouds, Japanese clouds,
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a picture because I ain't even see the detail yet, but that's cool, man.
Yeah, I'll post a picture up there. Shout out to Rising Dragons Tattoos in New York. That's where the guy is. He did it. He's a great guy. So if you listen to this, that's where I got it. He's a great guy. And he might listen to this too because he's one of my subscribers.
Nice.
But and he actually told me all this cool stuff to do in Japan as well. But so basically I went to this bathhouse, man, and they were so strict there. They wouldn't. Like, I bought this custom sleeve cover where you can, like you put it over your whole sleeve so that you don't display your tattoo. And they were like, no, like, your tattoo is, like, so big that it's over the maximum size of covered tattoos, even. So even if your tattoo is covered, there's a maximum size. Because I don't know if it's... I couldn't tell if it was because they didn't want to use so many patches on my arm, and they wouldn't let me use another sleeve cover because it's like external material going into the water, and you're supposed to be naked in the water, or they were just like, that shows that it's too associated with gangs, so you have to like, it's too much, you know?
Yeah.
So then we went, so that was the really nice big one that was like fresh and like all this clean. So then we had to go to this crazy little one where all the, like, it was kind of ghetto, where all the locals go, like in some back alley. Still, everyone was really nice there, but it was definitely like, this is all the locals, like 0 tourists, all old Japanese dudes just flaunting their gear. Like, no shame, no regrets. The positions they sit in, like, I know it's a little disrespectful, but, and I am respectful, but it was hilarious. Like, and I'm not, obviously, it's...
No, I get it. I have heard stories,
dude, yeah. Man, they just sit their legs up in the air, and they make these crazy sounds, like, they just get into it, man. They are so, like... They're just doing their thing, you know. They do not care.
I'd go. That's hilarious. That's so funny.
Me and my friend are like, tiptoeing around in there with these little towels, covering ourselves up. You know what I mean, in front of everyone, and they're all just like, you know, and just doing their own thing.
Just making old man noises.
Yeah. They're all clearing their throats. They just love hacking, you know, clearing their throats, and just making crazy noises and screaming into the steam and stuff, and just. So funny. Like, they're like crazy old anime characters themselves, you know? Like, literally.
I've
old
heard
men
that
in
before.
Animes, they're just like that.
I love the old people in anime. That's a true
like
to the culture.
100%. Yeah, so they're just doing their thing, and, you know, some of them just don't even answer you, you know, if you talk to them. But most of them were pretty friendly, and I made a really cool friend there, too, who was, like, a young dude who had, like, mad tats, and that's probably why he was going there as well. And
he was in the same specific.
Yeah, but a young Japanese guy, and he's super cool.
Tell me about the guy that you talked to who said that cryptic thing that was so funny.
Yeah.
I can't remember the words.
I know. So then I'm sitting in this. So I go into the sauna, and this guy comes in, and he's like an older guy. He's probably like 65, and he has a massive dragon tattoo on his back that goes down his butt and all the way down his leg. And I saw this thing and I thought, that looks like a real Yakuza tattoo. And I know that only recently have tattoos in Japan been able to get away from that stigma, and it's still heavily involved in that stigma. A lot of the clubs and a lot of dance clubs and stuff, you have to cover it up. Most bathhouses. And so I know that if this guy's 65 years old and he's got that big tattoo on his back, he must have got that thing like 40 years ago. And there's no way that they were popular and accepted back then in Japan. So I was like, this guy's probably 90% was a Yakuza when he was younger, you know? And
dang.
Yeah, and he looked really serious too. And so I said to him, wow, you know, in Japanese, you know, tattoo wa sugoi desu ne, you know, it's really cool. You know, demo totemo okii desu ne, like, but it's very big, you know, big tattoo, wow. And he looked at me and he said, his face was totally deadpan, and he said, tattoo big, but heart small, you know. And then he just stood up and walked away without saying another word to me. And I don't know if that was like some full ice cold, stone cold killer mafia shit or what. Like, I don't know, or if it was a joke, you know. He could have been some wry humor. But it left me thinking, like, what did he mean by that? Like, was he saying that he was humble, or was he saying that he was a killer, you know? So that was an interesting story. That was crazy.
Next time some kid asks me about my tattoos, I'm going to be like, yeah, that, you know.
Tattoo big,
heart
but
small.
But heart small. Yeah.
And I'm just going to walk away.
Yeah, exactly. And then he just stood up, and he just, you know, makes some crazy old man noise, and then just stood up and walked out of the sauna. Yeah, that was very interesting. So that was quite an experience. But yeah, it's literally like, I mean, it's like the anime. And we went to this other place called Sushi Ginza, and man, that is the best sushi. And I've talked to like multiple different locals, and like, oh, that's the best sushi. That's the best sushi. I talked to this guy, and it was the best that we've had so far here. And I talked to this guy at the beach, the same guy at the beach, and I said, yeah, Sushi Ginza. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he goes, yeah, that's the best sushi. And I said, oh, really? Like in Tokyo? He goes,
really?
He goes, the best in Japan. Like, that's the best sushi. And
whoa.
I was like, wow. So literally maybe it's the best one in Japan. I don't know, because that's what a lot of people have been saying, and it's the best I've had so far. And we've eaten like at about, I don't know, 20 different sushi restaurants since we've been here. Yeah. Wow.
That's amazing.
But
I
what
gotta try that. Yeah, the best sushi I've tried so far is in California. Can't remember the place, but yeah, I bet there's better.
Yeah, but it's like, man, these little scenes, like all the photos I was uploading, like just even the back street, like the architecture here is like, it looks like anime. They have these weird, all the buildings are different sizes. There isn't like a standard building layout like it is in America, and they all look the same, and they're generally like, something about it here is different, like just the geometry of it, and it's cool. It's more anime-like.
So much older, yeah.
Yeah, but it's also
anime
modern.
does such an excellent job of like communicating what life is like over there, what it looks like. You know what the I mean, I'm guessing from like all that I've heard. You know, having never been to Japan, but yeah, it's a good showcase of the country.
Yeah,
but you know, in a really nice way.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that's really stood out to me is like, literally everyone is so freaking friendly. Like all the legitimate, I want to say the legitimate Japanese people, you know. I feel like just because, as I said, there's like a couple of streets around where they're like a little bit, it's a bit gloomy with the prostitutes and the girl bars and stuff. And it's weird.
Sure.
It's weird. It's not even Japanese people that are like, there's girls standing out front often like with little tickets. And they look really gloomy most of the time. It's just awful. And they look like Jirai-Kei girls. Yeah,
Jirai-Kei?
Yeah,
Jirai-Kei?
Yeah, Jirai-Kei is what they look like, and they're handing out stuff.
Yeah.
But so that's just gloomy, you know. But most of the dudes that are soliciting for those girl bars are like all these dudes from like Africa and the Caribbean. It's really weird, you know. So they're like just
really?
They're hustling you, try and drag you into the bars and stuff. So that part is literally like not good. But everything else I've seen in Japan is just like so genuine and so like anime. And like literally you go into the restaurant and they're all like "Irashimasu," you know, like they all like, which is like welcome. Like it's just like they do like in the Naruto ramen store when they walk in, you know. And they're so friendly, and the waitresses are like this super big smile, super cute little Japanese girls, like, and just like so friendly and like just like so humble, and it's just like in the animes, like they all shout it out when you come into the stores, or when you like every single store actually, like even like Uniqlo, like, oh, by the way, we went crazy at Uniqlo, like so much stuff. We bought so much stuff. I was like pretty conservative, but
awesome.
My other friends that were here, you know, that I guess a bit more extravagant than me, they spent a lot at Uniqlo, like got like so much stuff. I think he probably got over 100 items, one of them.
Wow.
100 different individual clothing items, yeah. Like,
that's when you fly in with an empty suitcase.
Yeah, he bought a suitcase to fly out with just for his Uniqlo shop.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually lucky to be traveling with him, because he's been like amazing. He's shouting a lot of meals and stuff. He's a really cool dude, so he's got a couple of businesses.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's
Shout
doing
out to
really
him.
well. Yeah. So that's why I can eat like this amazing pictures whilst having this crappy laptop. He shouts a lot of those.
I'm waiting for the laptop upgrade. I can't wait.
Yeah. He's shouting me until my book takes off. You know, he invested in my book too, helping with some of the production costs for the audio recording part.
That's incredibly kind.
Great guy. Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, it's literally like that, you know. And so even in Uniqlo, like clothing store, you walk in, "Irashimasu," you know, I think that's the word. And so everyone's just like, it's so cool. It's just literally like anime. So back to anime. And by the way, I'll keep updating on my trip here. Like, you know, we may actually go visit Mount Fuji tomorrow. So.
Oh, that'll be cool. I'll look forward to that.
Yeah, exactly. So. Fingers crossed we figure that out, organize that. And we may also do the Mario Kart through the city, where you literally dress up as Mario.
What?
You
no
put
way.
on the Luigi outfit and the Mario, and you literally get in these go-karts and you drive around the main streets of Tokyo through the city on these go-karts dressed up like the characters from Mario Kart.
That is
and race around the city.
Awesome.
Dude, oh man. So I will definitely try and get some video footage or some photos of that if we can fit that in. And but yeah, so I've watched so many good animes. I'm trying to remember what the first show is. Like, as I said, I think Samurai X was like the first movies, and that probably then led to Rurouni Kenshin, which was the series. So I think Rurouni Kenshin is probably the first anime series that hooked me into anime.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what are you watching nowadays?
What's that? What are you
sorry,
watching
no,
now?
sorry.
What am I watching now?
Yeah, I was like gonna compare it to like what you started watching and then what you're watching nowadays.
Dude, I've went completely to the bottom of the scale, from the top tier quality Ninja Scroll, Rurouni Kenshin, to like the scum of the earth. Like, the last show that I actually watched was Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, I don't know why. I just freaking like.
Hey,
that
there's a
show.
place for everything.
And it's total crap. It's total trash. My wife's like, "Why are you watching this shit? It's such crap." And it is. It's totally corny. But I guess I think at the time it just kind of got a little interesting to me because it was a little bit Dungeons and Dragons stuff, in there. And
yeah.
And I started watching it, and it was just so retarded that I was like, it's so like. I think I was like stressful at work and stuff, and it was just so retarded that it was just funny to watch,
Yeah.
and not stressful.
Yeah.
And not stressful, so I was able to just chill with it. And then I watched a bunch of it, so then I wanted to finish it, So that was literally probably the last series I actually watched. And probably why I watched that one is because literally the major series I watched before that was Attack on Titan, and I was just so devastated from that I had to do something.
You gotta have a pick-me-up after that.
Yeah, that was like my pick-me-up after Attack on Titan. Oh man, Attack on Titan
that was the worst year of my life.
Dude, it was so brutal. Like, I would literally walk around at work like in a daze some days after some episodes of Attack on Titan. Like, I was so traumatized.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Attack on Titan, my siblings introduced me to Attack on Titan back in like before I left for college, and then we were apart for many years, and then we kind of got back together after I graduated, and then we ended up, and that was around the time that the last season was coming out, and then the manga was ending as well. And so, we were going through that together again as us siblings, and it was, it was something else. Like, that was, yeah, me and I remember never
so
forget
brutal,
watching
dude.
the end. It's so brutal watching the ending. No spoilers here, but just like, that couple.
Every
of,
time you think it's gonna get better, it gets worse. Yeah.
Never does. Yeah.
Just
10
know
years
that.
of our lives. Yeah, invested into this show.
Yeah, just know that it's brutal
story.
all the way through, and terribly sad.
Yep.
But again,
yes, you gotta have a pick-me-up after that, a palate cleanser.
Yeah, but it was still really good, and it was so brutal that like when you did have a victory in it, the victory felt freaking real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's that kind of storytelling is so good.
Yeah, it's like the danger was so dangerous that the victories felt almost real. Which was pretty impressive. Like when they take down one for the first time, or like when frickin' Captain Levi, I don't know if you say Levy or Levi, but...
Levi, people say Levy?
I just have a friend that's spelled exactly the same, and his name's Levy, so I get confused.
Oh, how funny. Yeah, that'd be difficult. But
Captain Levi, man, like, it's just so amazing when he just slays these things and goes crazy on them. Like... and you just get to unload all that fear and wrath from all the past trauma, when they're just getting destroyed.
Yeah.
I freaking love that.
Oh.
And
Attack on Titan's one of a kind.
Yeah, I know. And again, that's one of those, it's a good example of one of those anime things where it's like directional blades. It's almost like possible, like it's not really possible, but it's almost possible that you could fly around with these crazy gun things where you're launching these hooks and flying through the city on them. Like, it's just so cool. And when some of the stuff when people do like flying foxes and like flying suits around mountains, it's almost getting there, you know what I mean? So it's blending the reality. So I love that aspect of it too. And
I hadn't thought about that.
It's really cool. And maybe one day it could be figured out, I mean, there's these workable jetpacks and stuff nowadays that kind of work. Yeah. So it's getting better and better, So that's why I like to say, like, there's no such thing as impossible, and we just never know how far we can go.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What about you? What was your first anime series that you watched?
I was trying to think of that, and I truly believe it was Full Metal Alchemist, because I think that's another one that my siblings introduced me to, and they were like, you have got to check this out. You've got to check this out. And finally, I sat down with them and watched it, and I was like, wow, this is what anime can do? You know, because up till then I had only watched, I think, some Studio Ghibli movies, and I loved Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, I love that, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind. One of my favorite created things ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so good.
Manga,
Totoro is so beautiful
movie,
too.
Man, yeah.
And Spirited Away,
it's
which
amazing.
we touched on. Yeah.
So
and there's
good. Yeah.
it's literally scenes like in Kamakura, which you probably saw in some of the photos, like some of these alleyways, some of these scenes look exactly like Studio Ghibli films. Like, it's so awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you were saying,
Yeah,
sorry, but
it's
Full
amazing.
Metal Alchemist is literally one of my first ones too, like one of my top first 3. It's just so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another heartbreaking one. Another, but also, you know, such
But it was
joys and comedy, you know, and
yeah, but did you watch Brotherhood?
both. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm trying to remember. We started with
The original one, which did alter.
Yeah.
It was different than the canon manga.
I definitely
manga.
like Brotherhood much more. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the traditional story. So I'm much.
Yeah.
I didn't like the other one. The super sad ending. It was bullshit.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. I don't even know if we finished that one, if I'm honest.
Okay.
I think I watched a recap of it or something, but then we started watching Brotherhood.
Yeah.
And that's
So
what
much better.
really got me hooked into it. Holy cow,
Yeah.
better, way better, yeah.
Yeah, and it has a great
Yeah.
ending too. It's super cool. The other one's
It's
ending
beautiful.
literally left you feeling like Attack on Titan. You know.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, Brotherhood's good. Yeah, but there is some really sad moments. Like, yeah, I mean that might actually come up in one of the later questions, so I don't want to get into it further.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But to answer another, I forgot to say earlier, apart from Attack on Titan and this ridiculous one, what I really enjoyed recently that was like really good. I watched the full Hunter x Hunter series. It was really cool, and also Black Clover, which some people say is repetitive, but I freaking love Black Clover. You know,
Black Clover's actually on my list to watch. I
Yeah.
haven't seen that yet, but
I
I'm
loved it.
interested.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, and then Jujutsu Kaisen,
Awesome.
only the first series I've watched so far, but that's freaking amazing.
I really
too.
like Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
I need to catch up. I'm so behind on it, but I really like Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah. So that's
have you
probably
seen
the next.
Chainsaw Man or read Chainsaw Man yet?
I've watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and it was okay.
Yeah.
But it didn't hook me, so I didn't continue it. But then I was told that it gets like, better and better, so I may go back to it.
By far, if you like reading manga, you should read the manga. It's
Okay.
It's gonna take forever for the movies to come out, or the show to come out, and the movies that they're doing. Yeah, the manga's amazing. I can't recommend it enough. Does stuff I've never seen, never thought was possible.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I'll gotta check that out then. So yeah, I may go back to that, and I'd probably definitely gonna finish Jujutsu Kaisen. So that would be my next things on my list, and then I need to find some more basically.
Nice.
Yeah. One I have to shout out to though is Mushishi. It's so random, but something about that show, man, is just so nostalgic. It drives me crazy. It's stuck in my mind
Remind
forever.
me,
So Mushishi,
which one is that?
I don't think you've seen it. That's why I'm just saying it for what it is. But it's just called Mushishi, and you can look it up and watch an episode. But it's about literally just, I guess, rural Japan and earlier in time. And there's this guy who's called a Mushishi, and his job is to literally go from village to village and travel around to these really picturesque little Japanese villages. And there's spirits, kind of like these little tiny miniature spirit creatures, and it feels like very Shinto kind of mythology. And they're mostly harmless, but they can cause a lot of mischief. It's a really interesting. It's the vibe is so weird. It's so folklore that it feels real, real nostalgia. And the creatures are not there's no they're not conscious of the damage they can do. They're just little. They're almost like microbes, you know. But they're you can see them. They're about the size of I guess a coin. A lot of them the size of coins or a little bigger, and they kind of float around, and not everyone can see them. Only he can see them, but they're there. and they do all kinds of mischief just by existing. You know, like one likes to nest in someone's ear, you know, or whatever, and it can like they'll lose their hearing if you don't handle it.
Wow. So my sister watched that, and she recommended it to me a long time ago.
Really? So you did have it somewhere.
I am familiar with it. Yeah, I need to see it. So I've got it saved on the other tab. I'm going to watch that soon. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
I remember thinking how cool that. No. Thank you for telling me, because I remember thinking how cool it sounded, and I just never got around to watching it. So.
Yeah, and there's some really deep, weird, lurking. There's definitely like that feeling of lurking threat, but it's just sometimes it's totally harmless and nothing. It goes. You just never know. You never know what's coming. One thing that stood out to me though was there was a particular mushi, which is the little creatures, that the whole story was this. This one was like a dangerous one because it lived in like a parallel kind of dimension that was like nearby or underground or something, and and it would only appear in closed rooms or in a closed situation, like say you're under a blanket or you close the door and there's no exit to open air, then they start appearing. And so you actually have to wait for them to leave before you open the door. Because if you open the door, once they're in there with you, they panic and they return to their world and they take you with them. And so... That's
cool.
Yeah, and this girl's sister, there was this like little old man or an old woman, I can't forget. I think it was the old man. And he's got these two daughters, and it was really tragic because they were so little, and the sister vanished because of these things. And the Mushishi... Man. And they were trying to get his help. And the way she vanished was just so horrific because she was doing the laundry out in the yard, and they had the sheets, and the wind blew the sheet over her, and then it rolled off, and she was gone.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and it was really kind
of haunting.
Yeah, it was haunting, man. And so there's a lot of stuff like that in that show. It's so cool, like so traditional and unique. And and he basically had to find, and he managed to get his way into this really weird pocket dimension where she was still there, you know. But there was like a time difference, so she was like this ancient old lady, you know, by the time he got her out. And so she come out, and the sister was anyway. It was really wild. I think it's a little bit of a spoiler alert. I see that. But it's
hey, nope. I'm still
but it's just one small example of one of the episodes. Yeah, it's just one small example of one of the episodes. So cool. But yeah. Like, what's the most ridiculous idea or practice that you took on from an anime and tried to use in real life? If you have anything, I have one that I could share, which I will. But I want to know if you have one as well.
I'm trying to remember what anime it came from, but I know it was an anime. Oh my god! So like when I was like about 15 or so, I was like I still have really small wrists, but I was like my forearms are so weak, and so I started doing that thing where you punch rice into a big bucket of rice, and you squeeze the rice and try to get your forearms all, and I did that for like a week, I think. Yeah,
that's awesome. I love that.
Didn't change anything. I can't remember what anime it's from, though, but I know that it was like something I saw, and I was like, oh, I've got to do that.
That's awesome.
What was yours? Tell me yours.
That's so good. I love that stuff. I mean, I've done that a lot, like things like that, like punch trees, like hit my shins with glass bottles. But I actually stuck with it, like because I was doing Muay Thai kickboxing. I actually really did stick with it, and my shins got really hard. So that actually worked. But awesome. but the ridiculous anime one was, apart from running up the trees, which also I actually succeeded in somewhat, this one was hilarious. Basically, me and my friend were just so into Naruto in our early, like we were 14, and like we literally just loved Rock Lee, and we actually I bought this full kit of weighted wristbands and weighted leg band. So I was literally coming to school every day wearing weighted wristbands and weighted ankle bands at school. Like every day I was wearing them to school to try and get super strong. That's awesome. And then I would like pretend, like I would like just imagine that like when I took the weights off, like it was like I was super fast and powerful. And yeah, I literally wore these things for like months, man. And I think he got a set as well and was wearing them. And then we saw how him and like Guy Sensei was like training, or just like Naruto and Sasuke were like always fighting each other. And we were like, okay, we need to like actually like basically set up an agreement that in addition to wearing these wristbands, that we were actually allowed to attack each other randomly in the middle of the day. So like we had to try to ambush each other to try and keep each other on the toes, and like we'd have to have like a little fight, like a little mini combat, and then like end it off like. And so we were like on the ball, like, and I think we literally lasted 24 hours because all that happened was we were both on high alert for like all day at school, right? And like waiting for the other person to ambush each other. And then literally I was like waiting all the day. And I know, and we were like, I was literally like edging around the corners and then like looking out, like literally like everywhere I went that day. And I was like so into it. Like I was locked in, you know what I mean? Like I was locked in on this thing. And my whole plan
and he was
like,
doing the same thing.
Oh yeah. But my plan was like, as soon as he thinks nothing's going to happen, I'm going to wait till the very end of the day. And then I'm going to get him when he's forgotten about it. Right? So literally I did nothing all day. Waited till literally school's out, 3:30 or whatever it was. I think it was 3:30. And I'm waiting behind this brick wall, like at the very exit of the school. And I'm waiting there for like literally like probably 20 minutes. And then he's coming around the corner and I jump out from behind the brick wall like with no warning and I just knee him in the gut. and he literally is just not expecting it already at all. He literally just drops to the ground, totally winded. His eyes are bulging out of his head, and he just rolls back and forth for like probably like 15 minutes. Like I totally messed him up so bad, and then he just didn't want to play the game anymore. That was it. That was it. And that was the end of it.
That is awesome.
That was the end of my
awesome
ninja agreement. Yeah, and I wish I had someone else to do it with. I probably would have stuck with it, but I couldn't get anyone to do it with me.
They heard what happened to the first guy.
Yeah. Anyway, that was hilarious, man. That was great. Okay, so what about this? Top 5 anime shows of all time. What do you got?
Oh boy. Okay. Just shows, or can I include movies?
Yeah, movies too.
Okay. I'm gonna throw Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind up at number 1, just because it was so formative for me. Gotta do another Ghibli for number 2. Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, so good.
So eye-opening for me for what, like, you know, fantasy could be.
Yeah.
Attack on Titan. No. Yeah, okay, so, like, I guess I am doing these in order. So Attack on Titan's gotta be number 3, just as the first show.
Yeah.
I would probably have put it higher. I'm just still so pissed about the ending. But then, number 4, Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Number 5, what's a good number 5? It's like I want to mention something, but not a... I want to say Chainsaw Man, because it would fit nicely in that, but it's not, you know, fully an anime yet.
Okay. I mean, it is. It's got a series.
Yeah, I guess technically it's gonna be. Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah. Yeah, I'll throw Chainsaw Man in there. Why not? Yeah, it's beloved by me.
That's awesome. Yeah, sweet. Okay, good. Yeah, I mean,
what about you?
You know, I'm not going to put them in sequence because I can't. You know, they're just like you were struggling with it. I don't think I can do it in sequence. I'm just going to give the top 5 that I love. You know, that I can think of.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to put Naruto on there. You know, I know it's massive. I know it's cliche, but it's just so good still. I just love Naruto. You know, I love it. Love the ending. I mean, it's just so it was just so good. I don't know what to say. Did you watch it?
No, I never got into Naruto.
Yeah, it's just builds, you know, all the ninja techniques. It's just so good. So yeah, Naruto is up there. Rurouni Kenshin, just because it literally got me into anime, and it's just so legendary and so Japanese. You know, I feel like it's very traditional, or it feels traditional. You know, I've got some Japanese culture, but I'm not the master of it. But it definitely feels really good. Ninja Scroll, you know, Spriggan. I'm already I'm at 4 already, damn it. You know, there's just too many good ones, but...
There's too many.
Yeah, but I have to put those up there. I also am going to have to put Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood on there. I want to cheat and just add more, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know,
I wanna
right?
cheat, they're
Because
just
I
so-
just thought I was like, I didn't encounter it until I was more of an adult, but Berserk, life-defining.
Oh, yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
However you ingest the anime, but yeah, it's amazing.
I haven't watched it. Yeah,
Just read the manga.
Yeah. Okay. But then you know
Then
what?
go to the anime.
I have to put Hunter x Hunter on there. I have to put Black Clover on
Yeah.
there. I have to put freaking Hellsing on there. My pen name is from Hellsing.
Oh, yeah,
I gotta put Hellsing
yeah.
on there. You know, and then there's like Mushishi and like just so many.
There's too many.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, too many for 5.
Yeah, man. Paranoia Agent was pretty good. That was pretty creepy. Bro, Death Note. Oh my god, Death Note. I gotta put Death Note up there, dude. Death Note.
Death Note deserves to be on there.
Black Butler. Black Butler was
I haven't
amazing.
seen that one yet.
And there was one other really, really good one that I have to mention. I'm trying to remember what it was.
I feel like there's one that I am.
Like
It's glaringly obvious.
Elfin lied. So tragic, but dude,
my gosh, yeah.
you watch that? Man, there's something about that. I don't know if it's because the chick's super hot and just tragic at the same time, but that shit pulls your heartstrings, man. It's just so crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I need to see that again. I watched that a long time ago.
Oh yeah, I just remember being traumatized, but loving it so much. You know?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so sad. I think I probably cried in that one, but
Yeah.
those poor creatures, you know. But it was so epic.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a super obvious one that's gonna hit
Oh,
me
I gotta
in the
put
back of
Dragon
the head
Ball
as
Z
soon as
on
we
there.
do this.
I know
Yeah,
it's
Dragon Ball Z.
it's definitely like at the lower end of like, as if you want to be like an anime snob, it would be at the lower end of it. But damn, it's so legendary, you know.
No snobs here. I would never. Yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, that I love that. You know, that's my world to live in. Any else you want to know?
I was going to bring this up earlier because you said how to pick up. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Because that was recommended to me after I really loved Dungeon Meshi, Delicious in Dungeon.
Oh, I
seen
saw
that
that
one
one. No, I saw the ads for that. I wanted to watch it. It looked ridiculous.
Yeah, it's awesome. I was like,
in a good way.
It's very
Ridiculous
D&D
in a good way.
inspired.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very D&D inspired. And then it's like, and I love to cook too. So it was like,
Oh, me too.
This is okay. Yeah, you'll love it. It's
Okay, I've
it's
gotta
all about
watch
the
it.
food.
I gotta watch it.
You've got to, dude.
Yeah.
They're cooking monsters because they ran out of money for food in the dungeon crawl, and it's man. And then there's so much other stuff going on too. It's
That's
kind
awesome.
of amazing the depth that story has for, again, the comedy and the horror and the fantasy layered so expertly. Yeah,
Wow. Okay, I gotta watch that. That sounds awesome. It looked really good.
for sure.
Okay, cool.
It's because there's just too many good ones.
Yeah. Now this is kind of like a darker curve question. I'm gonna throw in here really quick. Do you
Okay.
think that anime is a positive and natural expression of Japanese culture, or is it like, I guess, like a cry for help? You know, as in they're having, you know, this is their escape from reality, because you have, obviously, Japan has one of the highest suicide rates on the planet, unfortunately. You know, so is this their escape from whatever this hard reality? Being here, I didn't even know what the hard reality is because it's freaking amazing to me. But something's causing this, you know. Something's not good here, you know. What do you think?
That's an excellent question, and I think it's also interesting because, you know, the fact that it's so that I can have an opinion having never been to Japan, but knowing enough about the culture from anime, from even Japanese books, tells you something. You know, I read a lot of Haruki Murakami, and you know, that's a lot of like an interesting look at Japanese culture as well.
Yeah.
I would say yes, because and you're gonna have to elaborate on this having been there, but I would have to my answer would have to be yes, just because it's so, yeah, that's what we do too, you know, like we may not have the same realities or stats, or, you know, in America I mean, but like everywhere else I'm sure, you know, fantasy is about not escape in a avoidant way, but an escape to a safe distance where you can sort of like engage with your reality in a way that makes more sense.
Right.
And I think that if anime does that, then absolutely. And I think it's a really positive thing. I think any kind of creation and reflection on your own reality is a positive thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's amazing. It's an amazing form of art, you know. But then, obviously, the only negative side would be like these guys, like these Jirai-Kei girls, you know, or
Yeah.
In the Western world, it's basically, I guess, I don't want to say it's negative. I think the Jirai-Kei girls could be slightly negative because it's inherently built into the fashion and the fad to be negative, based on what I've looked at anyway. It's part of it, so obviously that one's inherently going to be a little bit negative.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have like furries, and like in the Western world you have like furries, and they're in Asia as well, and Comic Cons and stuff like that, where people like literally like dress up and like try to be like these characters, you know what I mean? And so I know that the Jirai-Kei is a bit more negative than those other ones because they're not necessarily negative, but do you think that is a healthy thing, or it's like it's people just trying to escape from the reality, or what do you think?
Yeah, I looked it up after your post because I wasn't familiar with it. But is it very similar to like American like goth culture, almost?
It's almost like a mix between like trying to dress up like a cute hentai anime chick and a goth. Mm-hmm. You know, so you got this sexual.
Yeah, that's kind of what I gathered.
Sexual kind of anime cute, trying to look like a sexual cute little anime character girl whilst being a goth self-destructor at the same time. So it's quite an odd mixture.
That is very interesting. Yeah, very odd mix. Yeah, I don't know enough about it to really say what it is or not. But so when
I'm really throwing you under the bus
people on the streets and everything.
I'm throwing you under the bus with this
mean,
question.
This is a great topic. No, and
they're in the streets. Yeah, you see them.
Yeah,
but there's a difference.
Depressing?
Well, there's a difference. Sometimes you see these really bright, super cute, super cool looking Japanese chicks that like look like they're an anime character and they're like really classy. Or sometimes they're even old women and they look freaking epic. Like they look cool. They got some amazing like My Hero Academia kind of dress going on. You know what I mean? Like they look amazing. Like,
another great anime I forgot to mention.
Yeah, and they look cool, you know, and they could be old and and happy. So that's its own thing. So I guess that would fit more. I would say that fits more into the Comic-Con kind of like you're happy, you're dressing up, it's cool, and it's not even necessarily like an outfit, it's not like they're copying off a specific character. It's just badass, like kind of crazy, like unique dress code. But then the Jirai-Kei girls, you see they're like around the prostitute district, and they look like. They dress up like a kind of like a death doll, you know, like they look like they also look like a cool. They may have like a kind of a cool dress or whatever, but they have like a really kind of makeup on that makes them look worse. Like it's really pale, and then they have like dark stuff under their eyes, and then they look.
I saw a couple pictures like that, yeah.
Yeah, and then they look really gloomy and unhappy. So that's the one that seems a little unhealthy, you know.
Yeah, I think what you're describing is actually probably what makes it so compelling. That contrast. Is probably what's so interesting about it, into like, you know, people who are dressing up like that, or like that's their style, you know. It's really cool and interesting.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think I think if you can do it in a positive way, it's good. If you do it in a negative way, I think if it encourages people to be depressed and try to act self-destructive, I don't think I like that part of it, you know.
I had a very minor goth phase in high school because I thought it looked amazing. And so I kind of had to pretend to be depressed, and I tried to grow out my hair, and I wanted to, I bought a bunch of beanies, you know. It was like the hats, you know, and I was trash at it. I shopped only at Hot Topic for like a month or two, and I was awesome. I was unfortunately too happy of a kid to really do it right.
Yeah, well, I think if you can do it like that, I would approve of it, you know. But if you're actually doing it to get negative and do make yourself negative somehow, like that's not going to be healthy, you know.
Do you think it's done purposefully to be negative or depressed, Jirai-Kei girls?
I think it's a rebellion, you know, against something, and I think it's one way to. It's just another drug, you know, one way to escape, and I think there's got to be a better way than drugs. It's similar to that, you know. That's my viewpoint, anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And if they got the right help, you know, take the pressure out of their life or out of their environment, or help them with self-help or counseling or whatever, as long as it's the good stuff that's going to work, not drugs.
Yeah.
I think that that would be better for them.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, you probably know a lot more about it just with your humanitarian work and everything you've done in your life.
That's
I've
my
seen
viewpoint.
stuff
Yeah.
like that before. Yeah.
Yeah, but you
yeah.
can't take it away from them without providing a better solution. That's one thing I've learned.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can't tell someone you can't do that or try and take it away or say what they're doing is negative because that's the solution that they've come up with. You know, so unless you can help them out in a way that doesn't make them feel worse, then it's better to like let them keep, you know, roll with it until you can gently get them into something that's even better.
Yeah, I used to work in construction, building sheds with an alcoholic, like a full blown alcoholic that lived on the streets. I lived in my van at the time, so I can't really knock him for that. But like, you know, he was. It was rough to see that because I think I met him.
It's rough. It's horrible.
When I was about
Alcoholics one of the
23.
worst.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep
Work
going.
with him every day, and no, alcohol is one of the worst, and because it's so accessible.
Yeah.
And it's such a part of culture too.
Yeah.
And like seeing how badly this was ruining his life, and he was almost acceptant of it, and looking forward to the end. It was very sad.
Yeah.
But I met this guy when I was 23, and it was like, oh wow, yeah, I cannot ever become this dependent on alcohol or anything, any substance, because it just consumes your entire life.
Yeah. 100%.
It probably starts as a cool thing, like, you know, drinking in social situations, and then it's like you just lean on it too heavily. You know, anything can be like that, I guess. But
yeah, just like freaking Tom, man. Gotta watch out for that bloody Tom from the Rough Drafts.
Yeah.
Freaking like it rare. Like Tom leaning on that alcohol too much.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go. Yeah. I'm.
For anyone listening, that I'm
reference to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm referencing Finn the Huck's. He's been releasing this awesome short series, like a series of short, you know, clips of this.
Yeah.
I don't know what the book's name will be or if it has a name, but on there it's called We Like
Probably
It Rare.
gonna keep We Like It Rare.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
We Like It Rare. Yeah. So there's a character in there that's struggling. You know, he's stressed out, freaking like. You know, like he's working at this crazy restaurant, which I still need to discover what's up with it. But he's drinking, he's leaning on that drink because it's so stressed out. But yeah, cool.
Many bartenders and servers I worked with, we would raid the bars back in. I worked at this big steakhouse / banquet center and pulling a lot of experience from that for this story. But yeah, he's like the only one who cares about doing good service on a really crazy night where a lot of paranormal stuff's going down. He's trying to just do his job, but he's a mess behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's funny how many I think chefs actually get into become alcoholics. I don't know why, but
oh my gosh,
like my chef, my boss was exactly like that. Where when I worked at the restaurant, he became an alcoholic. My chef, and my boss, same position. In fact, my brother was going to be trained to be a chef, went to university, and his boss was also, I think he mentioned it being an alcoholic, one of my brothers. And then my brother almost became an alcoholic too when he was being a chef. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
Man,
it's pretty stressful. And there's alcohol right there.
With cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all over. Yeah, because, if you read any of Anthony Bourdain's books, he's a hero of mine. Yeah, you really see that very quickly.
Wow. Yeah.
The self-destruction in the cooking world is they go hand in hand somehow. It's very strange.
I think it's stressful, high pressure, and there's drinks available, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and I was a barista, and I tell you, I drank a lot of freaking coffees when I was a barista.
Yeah.
So it's kind of right there.
Yeah, you're right by the source, you know.
Yeah, you're right by the source, and you keep going. You don't have time for break. Just have a quick coffee. You know, have another coffee. Make yourself one. Like so easy to grab one. You make it for yourself and keep going. You know. But yeah, okay, yeah, but yeah, working with the drug rehab guys, like they were telling me that like, because I just worked hand in hand with them, even though I wasn't like at one of the centers. But in my profession, I definitely ran into them and worked hand in hand with them. And they were telling me that basically, like, they're the roughest cases, and they're just as hard to handle, like, the same level as heroin addicts. That's how rough they are. Yeah. But yeah, I actually helped someone last year who was basically was a cocaine addict for over 25 years. And he still survived somehow. He almost died many times. And actually, he did die one time officially. And then he came back to life again, like a couple of minutes later. And then when I found him at his lowest low, where he'd basically burnt through all his money and got himself locked out of all his accounts and businesses, and all his family had abandoned him because they had the right to, because he just totally screwed them over so many times, right?
Yeah.
So he was lost everything when I ran into him, and his friend brought him to me to get help. And his friend's a good friend of mine, and this guy was like a godson to my friend. So he brought him to me because he knew I was the best, like one of the best people at handling people that he knew. And so I took him through some basic therapy and stuff, to the point where to get him to where he could like realize that what he needed to do to change and go to rehab. Basically, so all my work was just to get him to get to rehab, like to a good rehab center. That. And I don't recommend all of them. There's only one or two that I really recommend, because a lot of them use drugs to get you off drugs. But this one that I liked, they don't use any drugs. Basically, they use a detox program with lots of vitamins and a sauna. So they don't use drugs. So so it really works, and you get the vitamins replenished so that it's easy to stay clean afterwards, because you've actually gotten the toxins out of your body and replenished the damage with the vitamins. I think you're absolutely right. You can't just pull the foundation out. You have to replace it with something else. Addiction's all encompassing. It builds your life up in a negative way. And they do like therapy and courses and everything to follow up. So it's a really good. So that's what my whole thing. But I had some wild adventures with this guy, man. Like, he was at his peak. He was doing like 20 milligrams of cocaine a day.
Oh my gosh!
I think it's like 6 8 balls a day, something like that. 4 or 5 8 balls a day.
Oh, wow. Which
would kill a lot of people, but he built up to it, and he was very rich, so he was able to do that. And but now when I met him, he wasn't, and he was really messed up. But man, I went through some crazy times. One story, quick sidetrack here. Basically, actually took me 3 weeks of working with him one-on-one, going to his house every day, making him get up, making sure he ate, whatever. I didn't spend my whole day with him because I have other jobs as well, but I was doing everything to really handle this guy because I said I would for my friend. So I stepped off my usual beat to really dig in to help this one person. Because I usually manage, like, as I said, more like programs into the community rather than one-on-oneing. But I will step in one-on-one as needed sometimes if I feel like I have to help someone. I was going in every day, waking this guy up, and just the place was trashed, and he'd just be asleep or whatever, like, because he'd stayed up for 2 nights straight, and now he was asleep all day. This one day, like, I finally, after going through that for 3 weeks with him, and like worrying if he's gonna die like each night or whatever, like I get him, he's agreed to go to the rehab center, right? And then the frickin' plane that's leaving, like the door frickin', like one of the doors of the, like his plane or one of the planes, the door flies off when they're trying to take off. So like he didn't go. So I'm like, man, like another day could like mean the difference of this guy not making it. So, like, I'm like, What are the chances of that? So then, literally...
That's horrible.
Yeah, so then the next day, I try and get him on another plane, and... We're in the taxi cab, and he goes, one more hit. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, no more hits. And he's like, I'm gonna eat it. I'm like, what do you mean? And he just pulls it out of his pocket and just eats it in front of me. Like, before I could stop him. And he basically... that was the day I actually got him on the plane. Anyway, so that was his last hit he ever had. And he got really sick on the plane. But they picked him up at the other end, and they got him, and they handled him. But that was, like, out of the blue. Like, I was like, where did you even get that? Like, I've been with you for 24 hours. Somehow he's so quick that he'd texted his dealer, and his dealer had brushed past him and palmed him a little satchel with me right there, like a few meters away in the city without me noticing. Like, that's how slick these guys are. But yeah,
that's wild, dude.
Yeah, crazy shit. Man. But the night before that is actually but it was okay because it was like whatever, it was like a drop in the bucket, and then he was on the plane. Now he's been clean for over a year and a half. So that's the longest he's been clean in like 30 years. Yeah, and he's spending every day with his son, and it's doing great, and he's sending me all the pictures with his 8-year-old son, who literally didn't know him for like probably 4 or 5 years of his life or whatever it was, and now he's spending every day with him, But one of the crazy stories was before I got him on the plane. Then was like he was supposed to be like. I dropped him at this motel out of the taxi. I saw him go into the door, come back the next morning, and he's not there. He didn't check in. Like, I'm supposed to take him to the airport at 2 o'clock. He's not at the motel. No name on that thing. Where did he go? So then I check all the motels on that street. He's not in any of them. By chance, his wife texts me and says, hey, I see a charge on this credit card for this other motel. And then I go to that motel, and then I find and then they won't tell me if he's checked in or not, because it's like a security privacy thing. So it won't give the names or anything like that of which motel. But I basically bullied them into like confirming he was there by saying like I'm his like health coach, and like I'm supposed to get him on a plane to rehab today, and he could die if you don't give me this information. And they literally told me he was there, like broke all their policies, privacy policies. And they said, yeah, he's in the room there. And I said, okay, we need to see if he's alive. You know, and then I literally like had the hotel manager, like they wouldn't let me in initially, but I just pushed through, and I said like if he's in there dying, like then you guys could be at risk. And then they literally like they cut all the red tape, and they took me up to his motel room, and I had the manager, 2 security guards, and like a room cleaner and like a door expert, and we freaking like jammed our way and kicked our way in the door. And I walked in expecting to see like if he was dead, you know what I mean? If he overdosed or something. And he was lying there face down in his bed, and he was like just fully unconscious, just sleeping. And I was like, thank God, you know. And then they left me with him to basically look after him. And it was crazy. But it was hilarious. Like, he's also a funny guy, you know, and it was just like a wild adventure, because like I can look back on it now with happiness because I got him through, you know, rather than sadness.
Yeah.
But so it was just hilarious. And I actually, I basically, he was so deep in sleep that I got into his, like, and he didn't expect anyone to get in his room, you know, like that. Like, who does that? Like, I pushed my way in there. Yeah. Literally, I go to his bed and I shake his feet and like, hey, what's going on? Nothing. And I keep tapping louder and louder. And then finally, he just goes, like he's coming to life. And he screams. And he goes, then he looks at me and he just goes, how'd you get in here? What time is it? You know, and those were the first 2 questions he said to me. It was so funny. And then he goes, where's Abdul?
That's something else.
He asked me 3 questions. How'd you get in here? What time is it? Where's Abdul? And Abdul was his taxi driver from the day before that had been driving him around.
What?
So funny, because he was so out of it when he woke up. Yeah, so funny.
Man.
And he had his taxi driver in there, in the room the night before, like, using his spa. Like, he was this like Arabic taxi driver, and he went up to the room with him and was using his spa, and he's like, yeah, where's Abdul? He was in the spa, you know. Just so many random things are connected with this like kind of lifestyle. But yeah, so then that was from my book. There's a scene where one of the guys gets knocked out, and when he wakes up, like, no one's gonna know this, they're not gonna get my inside joke, but like when he wakes up, he's like, what time is it? How'd you get in here? You know, where's this person? And that's,
you were talking about that scene.
Yeah, it's literally from this real life scene. That's from, so in my book,
wow, now I know the inspiration.
Yeah, the Living Light from God's to Ashes. There's a scene that's actually inspired by that scene where I found this guy in his room. You know, woke him up. Yeah, crazy, hey?
Very crazy.
So, saddest anime moment.
Saddest anime moment. Oh man, it's so well known, but it's the very first thing that came to mind. You know where I'm going with this? Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal
Brotherhood. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I could have pulled from Attack on Titan, of course, but like that's just sad all the way through.
Yeah.
When they go and they see
the daughter, the dog,
the dog. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
No, the dog daughter.
Never forget that. It is just so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, like in a reference in a meme or somebody posts it, like or it's, oh man.
I know, that was so heartbreaking, man. Yeah, so if anyone hasn't seen that, we won't explain it, but if you have, you know what it is, and if you haven't seen it, watch the show and you'll find out.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know, man. Wow, okay, that's a good one. I think for me, that was actually one of the ones I thought of when I wrote that question. So yeah.
Yep.
So it's
how
definitely,
could you not?
Yeah, it's definitely up there. There's a couple of moments in Naruto when you just discover that someone that you thought was literally evil the entire show had done everything and put himself, destroyed his own life and destroyed his own public image to everyone that he loved just to protect them, and you find out at the end that he was actually a good guy, not a bad guy. That was pretty brutal, and you just love this guy even more, you know. So that was yeah, I'm getting teary just remembering that. So anyway, I probably just get a bit of a spoiler there, but I won't give any more details than that. But yeah, that was pretty epic. Okay, good. So scariest anime moment? Book, movie, or show?
Scariest anime moment?
Yeah, book, movie, or show.
Oh yeah. Berserk for me, because I didn't know anything about Berserk. I picked it up at the library, looked cool. I was like, a medieval manga, this is sick, you know, and I was reading it, and I love the characters. Guts, Casca, Griffith. I was so into their story, and their rise as a mercenary band influenced so many of my stories down the line. And then I won't spoil anything, but like because you haven't seen it or read it, but like, you know, again, if you know, you know, but like everything changes and it's a perspective change like halfway through the beginning of the story, and it's scary. I say it's scary instead of using this one for the saddest moment, because for me it was terrifying. Because I realized all that I hadn't understood, and you backtrack through it and you see all the threads that led up to this. And I can't say anymore. I don't want to spoil it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's oh my gosh.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I would probably say like something about being devoured is kind of creepy to me for some reason. Like it makes sense why.
Yeah.
But so like I think gluttony was pretty creepy in Full Metal Alchemist when he first eats someone. Or
I forgot about that.
Or the scene where they see their mum at the beginning. And you see that thing, that was pretty creepy, because it's their mum, or it's not real, you know, but whatever. And then also some of the scenes in Attack on Titan, when like they're surrounded by the Titans, and you know, like they're gonna get eaten, like that's pretty freaky, some of those.
Oh yeah.
And there's probably another one.
When Eren got eaten. Yeah, remember that? When Eren got eaten and he crawled his way back out and Armin watched, that was... I remember thinking like, oh shit, we just lost our main character.
Oh yeah, I thought that too. I thought, man, they just wiped out the main character straight away. So that
I thought they were going to pull one of those on us, yeah.
Yeah, and they could have, because they kind of did a few times in that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was good. And I'm sure there's other ones, but there's definitely a few moments in Fullmetal Alchemist, a bunch in Attack on Titan, and there's probably some other ones, but I mean, Ninja Scroll's kind of creepy. I'd say Ninja Scroll has some pretty freaky stuff, yeah.
Do you have a most heartwarming anime moment?
I have the funniest anime character. How about that? Let's do that. Let's end off on a good one.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that, yeah. Funniest anime character.
I already know mine.
Maybe it's because I just watched it this year, but in Delicious in Dungeon, all the characters are so funny.
Yeah.
And the way they play off each other is amazing. Your main character is like this somewhat autistic nerd, and then you have, the high-strung elven mage and the classic dwarf archetype.
Yeah.
And then the mischievous halfling who has the most sense out of anyone. Yeah, it's oh man, all those characters are so funny.
Okay.
I found myself laughing through that show.
That's awesome. Yeah, I gotta watch that. Sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it has to be Rock Lee from Naruto. Dude, Rock Lee is so funny. Rock Lee and then Guy Sensei as well. Like, I just kind of think of them as together as one. But there's so many moments that if you watch the show, it's just so funny. Like, they take that, like, extremist training enthusiasm of the anime culture of, like, oh, we just need to train and get stronger. Like, they take it to the next level, and they're just, like, hilarious. Like, there's, like, certain episodes where they literally just refuse to walk on their feet. They have to walk on their hands everywhere that they go, and they're just running around shopping through the town, like, with their legs hanging above them, and they're not allowed to touch the ground, and they just look like, because they think it's gonna like make their upper half so much stronger, so they just like do shit like that, and it's hilarious. Yeah, or like one of my favorite moments was like there's like one guy who's like really like kind of like a conservative, dignified, like old school shinobi, like samurai, like ninja dude, Kakashi Sensei, who's like just super badass, and he's super beat up and injured, and then like he's like, okay, like but we need to take him back, whatever, we need to get out of here or after the combat. And then Guy Sensei is like one of those like Rock Lee's like master. He's that really funny guy, and he's just like he's been trying to get Kakashi to do this for like so long, like for training or whatever, and he looks at him and he's just like puts his arms out like, I'm gonna piggyback you, you know. And he's like, this is our moment. Like, I can finally piggyback you and run with you on my back, you know? And Kakashi's like, no, you know, and then they force him on, or he can't do anything because he's so weak and beaten up that he's forced to, like, be picked up by this guy. And he just charges off across the desert with him on his back. And he's like, he's in total heaven, and the other guy's just, like, in total shame. It's so funny. But yeah, I love Guy Sensei and Rock Lee. They're the best. Okay, so what about this? You can live in one anime world for a year. Where are you going and what are you doing?
Oh, that's a great one.
Last question.
I want to be a wizard in Howl's Moving Castle. I want to be the wizard in that world.
Wow.
Technically, it's Diana Wynne Jones' world from the book, but I love the magic system in that world. It's so mysterious. Also, like the industrialism is fascinating.
Yeah, wow, it was amazing. I love it. Yeah, it's probably just number 2 for me next to Spirited Away. You know, I have to stick with Spirited Away, but then Howl's Moving Castle is number 2 for me. Yeah. It's right up there. It's so good. It was just so awesome. Okay, sweet. Yeah. For me, I mean, there's a few. It's pretty difficult to choose. I mean, honestly, Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. That'd be good. Yeah,
Frickin' Pokemon,
that would
dude.
be just such an adventure.
Dude,
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't go wrong. Like,
No?
yeah. Other animes could be cooler or maybe more, but like this would be 100% pleasure. Like, you know, you're not gonna get like there's nothing horrific. It'd just be total joy, just literally finding Pokemon, playing around with them, raising them and stuff. That would just be the freaking best.
That's a great pick.
Yeah.
Honestly, that might be the perfect option, honestly.
Yeah. I'm converting you already. Just be so good.
I'm convinced, yeah.
Yeah, it would just be so much fun. And Pokemon competitions, and oh man, it would be golden. Yeah, definitely not Attack on Titan. Definitely would never be going
No,
there.
absolutely not. That's the wrong answer right there.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
The omnidirectional gear is not worth it.
Yeah, no way, no. And you might not be able to use it, but I'm pretty sure I can throw a Pokeball.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome, man. Cool. Well, it's been great. We'll do this again. We just keep in a weekly podcast somehow. I mean, I think we'll line up.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. Next time we can probably line up for the dad date, the double dad date, Finn the Huck and Alucard with the dads.
I'm very excited for that.
With the dads, yeah. So stay tuned,
My
guys.
dad is actually really excited. He was like, I think it kind of caught him off guard. I don't know if he hasn't been listening to the podcast. Oh, which shame on him, but you know,
yeah, he needs to listen.
Now he's catching up, and he's kind of stoked now. He's like, okay, this will be really cool.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, for you guys listening, stay tuned for Alucard's podcast, Season 1, Episode 4. We're going to definitely dive into some fun games, character creation, world creation on the spot, D&D, and just having a blast with our dads, the double dad date. And, look out for it. And then look out for Finn the Huck on Substack, the rough drafts, and look out for Alucard Substack, and check out my Living Light story, which is getting ready to be released by Blackstone Publishing House and Skyboat Media with Grammy Award winning narrator Stefan Rudnicki narrated it. It's really awesome, and it's going to come out in July, so check that out and subscribe if you haven't, and you'll get notified when it comes out. And yeah, you can also check out my Darkmoor. Since this is a very anime episode and Japanese-oriented episode, that's my novella. It's on Amazon. If you just type in Darkmoor book, it'll show up everywhere. And it's set in Japan, and it's super cool. And like, it's very heavily inspired by Spirited Away. So if you like that stuff, you'll like that book. It's been a blast, Finn. Thank you. And
as always.
Yeah, next time, okay?
Till next time.
Yeah, ciao.
See ya.
I ain't tired, no. Strength of the wolf and lion. Slay the tyrants. All this gold's in my hands. I ain't tired, no. I'm retiring.